we move on to our next session of the day and the last session, that is ICT for Urban and Rural Management, Emerging Trends and Innovations. This session will basically work on the emerging trends and innovations that are happening in urban and rural management, ICT for urban and rural management. For this, may I please request the session chair we have with us, Shri Arun Mehta ji, Principal Secretary of Power Department, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. A big hand to our session chair, Shri Mehta ji. We also have with us Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Principal Secretary, IT, Government of Manipur. Dr. Kumar is soon to join us on the dais. We have Dr. Govind, Chief Executive Officer of NIXI. Dr. Govind, may I please request you to come on the dais. He is also the Senior Director of Department of Information Technology, Electronics and Information Technology, Ministry of Communications and IT, Government of India. We have Shri Ajit Sahu, Deputy Commissioner of Jammu. Also the award, one of the awardees yesterday, so congratulations for that as well, sir. To Shri V.K. Sharma, Chief Executive Officer of Gujarat Info Petro Limited. To Shri Iftikhar Kakru, Deputy General Manager of Jammu and Kashmir State Power Development Corporation Limited. Welcome, sir. And we have with us Shri Sheikh Imtiaz Ahmed, Managing Director of Comtech Info Solutions Private Limited. I repeat, Sheikh Imtiaz Ahmed, Managing Director of Comtech Info Solutions Private Limited. Welcome on the dais, sir.
Being extremely bored with all that you have been hearing, and then you would be wondering what is new that you're going to be listening now. We have a group of wonderful speakers, starting from Mr. Rajesh Kumar, who happens to be my batchmate, a very dear batchmate, Mr. Govind, Ajit Sahu, Mr. V.K. Sharma, Iftikhar Kakru, and Sheikh Imtiaz Ahmed. Now I hope that this session is basically relating to rural and urban management, and the topic given is Innovative Trends in ICT Implementation for Better Urban and Rural Management. I have no claims to what ICT has been doing in the rural side of it, though I'm pretty familiar. But on the urban side, of course, I have a lot of familiarity because I was part of the group that was developing frameworks at the national level. Before I begin, let me just give you some inputs or some brief about what at the from a national level, between 2005 and 2012, what we were trying to do. And much of that would be relevant to what we do here. Now, first of all, let me say that when we talk about innovation, now the first question that you need to ask that how much innovation you need. Do you need innovation for the sake of innovation? This is extremely critical when you are dealing with IT sector. IT sector for a long time in our country was very vendor driven. They came and told you that they have lots of innovation to sell, and once you bought that package that they've developed, you were done. All your problems were going to be over. This was a typical problem that the IT sector was selling dreams to lots of people. This is an extreme view, so I mean, take that in that perspective. And therefore, once we were looking at the issue of what we need in terms of e-governance and ICT intervention in the urban management, then we started looking at few facts. For example, what is the kind of service delivery you want, fundamentally? Now, many of you would have heard about JNNURM, that is Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, which was the most important initiative and continues to be most important initiative in the urban sector. This was the most critical reform that has happened post-independence. In the rural side, you will find a lot of programs were there, and they developed platforms whereby all the rural local bodies could have got into that platform, particularly in terms of accounting management. How much accounting management is there in the rural bodies, I don't want to elaborate on that, but that most people would be aware. But at least the MOPR was developing a lot of software, a lot of gadgets, and they were trying to bring in everybody onto the single platform. Very differently, the urban ministry and the urban management in the country as a whole, each one was onto his own. So if you look at Maharashtra, for example, it was developing differently. If you look at Gujarat, it was developing differently. If you look at J&K, it was taking another direction altogether. And in the middle of this, we were thinking that what is the right course of action to take so that at least we bring in some sense of uniformity in what we are trying to do. So the best way that we thought we could address the issue was that to develop service level benchmarks for e-governance in municipalities. Now, I'm not very sure that how many of you are aware about it. Service level benchmarks in terms of uptime, downtime, things like that, or reliability of the package, those things were very common to the sector. But service levels in terms of what urban management is there was not very common at all. Now, the point I am trying to make that you are not always trying to buy the best possible innovation. That's not what we're trying to do. What you are trying to do when you are looking at urban and rural management is that you want that your people who are trained in a particular way of handling things, they shouldn't be asked to switch over to a new system every morning, because that's something they can't manage. It's very difficult to train people from one system to another system. And therefore, what you require that in given a problem, what is that you're looking at? And the best way to define that, as I told you, if you look at the e-governance service level benchmarks for the municipalities, you'll get a lot of answer there, that what is that you're looking at. For example, we talk about grievance redressal. What exactly do you mean by grievance redressal? Now, similarly, if you go to things like solid waste management, what do you mean by solid waste management? And if you are talking of ICT intervention in solid waste management, what is that you are trying to manage in that? Now, I'm not going to elaborate on because those of you who are interested, you will find all these answers about how best we developed it. This is now a nationally accepted framework. There were two frameworks we developed. One was the service level benchmarks for the urban sector, which included water supply, which included solid waste management. There were basically 4 key sectors, so storm water management, but separately we also developed e-governance benchmarks for municipalities. This was accepted by 13th Finance Commission, by and large, what we did there. And that became what you will find that this concept is now becoming very, very sort of ingrained in how we do urban management. Before I proceed further, just wanted to tell you that innovation, once we talk about it, we must understand that some of the audience will also, some of the audience has been asking questions just before this session started, that we have so many other problems. The problem really lies in defining exactly what do you want out of what innovation you're talking about. You should be very, very clear. And I'm sure that this group of speakers who will follow me will be able to throw a lot of light on that. But to begin with, I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Principal Secretary, IT, Government of Manipur. Mr. Rajesh has been part of Ministry of Urban Development earlier, and he has handled very important assignments at Government of India level. So all over to you about what initiatives you are taking in terms of urban management.
Thank you, Arun. You have been very kind to me. He mentioned about Urban Development Ministry. I was more of a terror in Delhi and less of administrator. And I have got a divorce from urban sector for last 6 years, having done 9.5 years in state and center. My batchmate has touched very good points that urban side, rural side, common applications, divergent applications. I think I will touch three very specific issues, one for urban, one for rural, and one for common application, three diverse ministries, just to carry forward what Arun has said. I came across a small presentation. I'm toying with the idea on urban waste management, that garbage management in Hyderabad city. They are using mobile governance. It's a hybrid of e-governance and m-governance. And what they are looking at it, the garbage bin emptying time and the delay and the lag and alerts is quite an effective system, and they have got different coding with green and red colors. I think this one model one should study and try to replicate is quite cost effective. I'm not propagating the company and technology because as we know that internet connection is far, far below than mobile connectivity. So if we have to reach the people deep using ICT, I think m-governance is the answer in future. E-governance cannot be substituted, but m-governance will take it to lot many people. So on the urban side this, if you come to rural side, because this session is for urban and rural, so I will just touch a very small example of Madhya Pradesh government, what they are doing in Narega. Andhra is also doing. These two models have to be studied. We don't have to reinvent what he was mentioning, innovation for what? Everybody wants to innovate. What has been invented and tested and implemented, I can claim that Madhya Pradesh is doing the best in Narega. And I think MP Online is something which has to be seen. Now, let me again take a somersault from urban to rural. We keep innovating softwares. Everybody wants to sell a technology, everybody wants to come as a vendor, everybody shows a lot of magic stories and dreams to us, but we falter. Government's biggest bane has been lack of application of right technology at right places, lack of continuity. Most of the NIC implemented projects fail because there's no continuity in the sequence of implementation. The processes are not studied properly. But NIC must be complemented for one application which they have done, that is where I am coming, common application software for consumer affairs, food and public distribution. Justice Wadhwa Committee and Supreme Court monitoring, they came out. I was part of the core group of that when I was in Government of India, my last assignment. That application software gives the minimum backbone of IT requirement, the least which is required for seeing the complete supply chain management. I'm not endorsing what has been done. It's not the complete solution, it's a phase one solution. The beauty is that basic uniformity is being maintained across the country. So MIS generation will be good. You're not creating new data centers also, only gap funding is being done. And this project, if implemented correctly, shall go a long way in ensuring reduction in leakage of food grains. Same applies to a municipality, what my friend was mentioning. I think it would have been much better if the ministry itself has come out with a common application software and allowed the states to customize, because each state has got its own specific diversity. That would have been much, much better. And I think I must conclude here only because I thought I should pick up one of urban, one of rural, and one of common application. Thank you.
Just before I invite the next speaker, let me tell you that the last point he made, that we could have developed a common software for all the municipalities in the country. That was a thought that was explored once upon a time. And obviously, municipalities are not like rural bodies. For example, if you take Mumbai, the GDP of Mumbai is many times some of the states. It's extremely difficult to tell Mumbai that, look here, I have developed a software and you need to take that as something that you would be better off with. In fact, let me tell you that Mumbai had developed some softwares for urban management, which they considered at that point of time the best. And they were very gung-ho about it. But obviously, this was followed by cities like Thane and cities like Surat and other cities, which did pretty well. But the point I'm trying to make that very often when we talk about rural and urban, The urban creature is so very different than the rural creature, because cities like Ahmedabad, Mumbai, they are very different. You can't sort of, they are almost like a state. They are not like a rural area. But trying to handle urban sector in a manner that one size fits all formula, it's not possible. So obviously there was no way that at that point of time we could have pushed any idea like this. As I told you, it was very much simpler to do that for the rural area, in which MOPR, that is Ministry of Panchayati Raj, did develop a common framework for all the rural areas. Not that everybody has gone onto that platform, but just to put things in perspective. When you look at urban, it starts with cities like Delhi, Mumbai, which are as good as a state in terms of their GDP, in terms of their complexity. In fact, many times much bigger than a state. So it's very difficult to bring them on a common platform. Anyway, those things are something that we can always ponder over. I have now pleasure to invite Dr. Govind, CEO NIXI, Senior Director. He is from Ministry of Communication and IT. He knows a lot about what IT Ministry has been trying to do over a period of time. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers, this eGov Knowledge Exchange here in the wonderful state of Jammu and Kashmir. In Srinagar, we are here. This is my first visit. So, though the topic and the session is for the urban and rural management, and as the chairman rightly pointed out, that how the ICT can play a very important role in the urban development, urban management, and the rural management, which is so different. So what I can say about it, that being an IT ministry, ICT has played a wonderfully in managing the urban as well as the rural sectors. The communication revolution, the mobile revolution, through the e-governance applications in the rural as well as the urban sectors, has created a plethora of services which is helping the productivity and that way managing the various sectors, and then the various services in the urban sector like management of the water, electricity, sewage. All I remember there is a Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor project, big projects coming up. There we had received a project for the city of Pune from IBM, where they are managing the water, electricity, and the entire city management by the ICT intervention, so that by all kinds of sensors, the developments in the various the water bodies and what are the elements available there, all these things are going to be managed through a MIS system. And this project is, I don't know whether it has been funded, because we have initially progressed that, and the IBM is carrying out that kind of project. So I want to tell that ICT has a wonderful means to manage the city's various elements, whether it is the transport sector, whether it is the electricity sector, whether it is urban management. All kinds of management can be like city surveillance from the crime point of view. So ICT can play a very important role. So I would end there, but now I will begin for my main thing, because people know more about the NIC. So I thought it is better to talk about NIXI, NIXI, which is the National Internet Exchange of India, which is the kind of, I will just begin that National Internet Exchange of India is a Section 25 company brought out during the 2003 to bring the ISPs, Internet Service Providers, connecting within the country. Before that, the ISPs were connected globally, and any mail which is to be brought from Delhi to Bangalore or Delhi to Mumbai needs to go all over the world and bring to the other customer in the other city. So what we did was to set up this public-private partnership of the ISPs and bring this National Internet Exchange of India. So NIXI has a three kinds of operations. As I told you, these are the various nodes which are spread all over the India: Delhi, Lucknow, Guwahati, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai. So these exchange points where major ISPs and small and medium ISPs are connected, and their data traffic and all the internet traffic which is to be destined within the country is exchanged within the country instead of going abroad. That way we are able to save the precious international bandwidth and latency aspects and bringing more quality to the internet in the country. It's a only neutral exchange in the country, 10 nodes and 42 major ISPs connected and 102 connections in all the 8 nodes. Lucknow and Mohali nodes are yet to be begin operations, and they are the sponsors. We are putting up the various monitoring mechanism and IPv6 mechanism and internet awareness campaigns through these ISPs and the NIXI. These are the data for the traffic updates, and total data which is done today is 20 GBs within these NIXI nodes. These are the routing policies which helps how to connect any ISP locally, and we can connect through the remote nodes also, like Jammu, or here if it can connect to the Mohali or the Lucknow nodes. I will not go into the technical details of the routing policies, which will give what kind of payments one has to make in these kind of ISPs and what kind of routing policy they have to announce all their routes if they have to be considered for the local exchange. These are the tariff policies. So second important aspect which NIXI is doing is the .in operations. You must be all aware of the .in, the country code top level domain, which it belongs to India, and we are able to started 2005, which is made more open, more liberal, more user friendly, online booking of the domain names, which is helping the small and medium sectors, schools and colleges to book these domains as fast with the various registrars. We have made a distribution model where the various you can go to the .in registry website and book the domain names and get faster, and it is much cheaper than the .com and other such domain names available today. We have reached 1.7 million domains today, and more than 90 registrars are there across the world who are giving the distribution mechanism to the registrant who is coming through these registrars. Then there are the arbitrators. If there are any dispute over any domain name, like IPR or any trade disputes on any kind of domain, then we have an arbitrator system which is able to resolve the disputes within the 2 to 3 months' time. These are the sub-zones of the .in, like co.in, firm.in, net.in, mil.in, gov.in. You are all aware of the gov.in mainly, the edu.in, so which is for the educational sector, gov.in for the government sector, co.in for the commerce sector, and firm.in, org.in for the various other kind of organizations. So here we have the registry.in website, which is helping small and medium, and .in, anyone wants to take it, that is helping the registry. So third aspect, dimension of the NIXI is the National Internet Registry, which is the latest development, latest services we have initiated, which is the distribution of IP addresses and AS numbers, autonomous system numbers, to any person, any entity, any SME sector or the commercial sector. Earlier these services were available through the APNIC, Asia Pacific Network Information Center, based in Brisbane, Australia. So India being a big country, we thought all our ISPs and all our IP holders can come to the NIXI to get these services, these numbers, which is helping. Today we have reached 125 affiliates. We are calling these IP address to whom we allocate affiliates, so that they can be given much cheaper rate than they used to give it to the APNIC. This is our IRIN, Indian Registry for Internet Names and Numbers website, which anybody can go and get the IP addresses allocation much cheaper way, and much more user-friendly way. And we are putting these services in the country so that people can be educated, capacity can be built within the country, and more technical knowledge can be garnered in the system. So these informations are there, which is on our websites, nixi.in, registry.in, and IRIN.in. So anyone wants to know more about these things, the internet service providers point of view or the internet promotion point of view, these systems are available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Govind, for your wonderful insight about what you people are doing and how you can help some of the participants here. I now have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Ajit Sahu, Deputy Commissioner. He won an award, which of course people must have told you, and let's see what he has to offer.
Good afternoon. I think this is a right platform to share the experiences from the ground, and because we have here the industries and developers and administrators, and being the Deputy Commissioner of the remote areas as well, like in Leh and Poonch, I tried to implement certain e-governance projects, but I faced number of difficulties, and I think this would be a correct platform to share those, so that we can think of how to go about the e-governance project further. The main importance which has been, the things which have been talked here, that is the availability of the database, the citizen database. That is the most important factor for preparing for any service delivery system or any, even for any plan and any scheme you have to design. That you have to base upon the citizen information what is available, and that database is not available at the district level, and the data which is available is not in conformity with the other databases. So that is the one of the most important sector which need to be devised and worked into. That in place of doing number of surveys and number of surveys through the number of departments, it should be the single line, like if the census department is doing, I think that data itself should be adopted at, it should also be made available at the district level, so that any e-governance project which is being implemented in the district, it has to be made available, it is designed accordingly. And another thing which we are facing is that number of e-governance projects are being implemented, and we are receiving applications from the top as well, that this has been created and now we have to implement this. And but the holistic solution and holistic approach is still missing. Now it is it's a very good move that the panchayats are now being connected, and the services will be delivered through the panchayats. I think in morning session our IT secretary has talked about that e-village program. Rather than going for the e-district, we should start with the e-village. I think that concept is really required, because when we reach to the village, the user is one, and the user has to go to the number of places for number of services and number of queries and other things. So that holistic solution would be requiring from the user point of view, that what is required at the village level. Like sometimes I wonder why every department is placing his JE at the rural areas in the at the village level, because sometimes one JE of one department have very less work, but the other one JE is having lot of area and he cannot travel all the areas. So I think we should, if we consolidate the things, so we can appoint one JE for every village for all type of project, because at JE level the work is nearly similar type of in each and every department. It's not a very different work which they are doing. So I think we should take the holistic approach at the grassroots level, and service delivery should be at single platform, and the panchayats would be the best platform which from where we can provide the services in the rural areas. The major problem of infrastructure we faced in the districts and especially in the rural areas is pertaining to the connectivity. Now we are moving to the cloud-based system, but the problem is that in rural areas and especially in the border villages, we don't have connectivity. Even the mobile towers are not available in the towers which have been placed, especially in the border villages. Their capacity has been reduced to such an extent level that you cannot access the data. So at that time, you require a system where this offline and online both should work. Then only we can provide the services, as well as we can go for the supervision and monitoring of the various schemes. So that aspect must be taken into account while designing anything, any governance project for the rural areas. And another is that number of restrictions we are facing, like especially in Jammu and Kashmir. In other areas of country, and we have seen number of e-governance application has been designed based on the SMS system. You send an SMS, you can get the information, or the monitoring is being done through the SMS. But in our state, because of the security region, the SMS gateway is restricted, and prepaid mobiles do not get the SMS, and the maximum people are using the prepaid mobiles. So these two restrictions in the rural areas, especially in Jammu and Kashmir, is making it difficult to start any e-governance project. Then there is that the requirement, what our Secretary Saab has rightly said, that what we want to do and what we want to provide, that is very important. Mostly we design the e-governance project in such a way that it becomes a supply driven thing. We don't go for the demand. What is the demand and what is the required at the ground level? That is, the system should be designed and the application should be designed in such a way. Especially in the rural areas, even the people who are having some qualifications of diploma in various from the various ITIs and the polytechnics, but sitting idle, and they are not able to utilize their capacity, and the industries are facing shortage of skilled manpower. The skill development mission is already taking care of them. But even today, if somebody wants, what are the avenues available to him? He has to search various data or various websites that where he can fit into. But it is the system should be in place in such a way that he can search what is available to him from a single platform. That is again all type of requirement in a village area should be put at a single platform, at a single portal. Then only we can be serving the people in better way. Then we have already spoken about that consolidation, that because whatever e-governance project has been developed, it has been developed in that island approach, that everybody has developed something. But now the time has come that we have to consolidate, and we have to move to, because now it is an acceptable thing, and it's an acceptable policy of the government that the services should be provided through the e-governance mode, and it is one of the most acceptable and most efficient way of providing the service delivery. Then we should make it compulsory, and we should make the policies accordingly in such a way that nobody has a choice and discretion that I will do this and I will not do this. That the major framework is prepared, and accordingly what the service has to be provided, that is decided, and accordingly the things are planned. Rather than things are planned at an island manner. Like what I feel that district is not an appropriate forum or appropriate stage where the e-governance application should be designed. I think it should be designed at the state level or at the directorate level, so that it has a holistic view, it has a holistic approach. Another thing which we find it problematic in developing the e-governance project and implementing it is that payment part, that financial transaction, that is still missing in Jammu and Kashmir, and everybody, like in DC Jammu office, the biggest challenge that everybody in providing e-governance services is that the person has to go to a treasury to deposit the required government revenue, and he wastes nearly 1 day one day of his time he wastes just to deposit that amount, and next day he comes for the services. So it should be planned in a way that all the things are provided at a single platform. That is, I think, another requirement. And one most important thing which I have seen, especially in the NIC projects, that it is not very user friendly. Sometimes the application is very good, it's very helpful for the people, but the way it has been designed, it is not very appealable to the people, and it's not very appealable to the person who are using that, the staff which is who is implementing that. At that time, it becomes very difficult for the implementers and for the administrators to implement it effectively. So it should be sufficient trial must be made before launching an e-governance project, and it should be customized in such a way that it becomes user friendly, and it appeals to the masses, and it appeals to the person who are using it. Another thing is that capacity building, both like one the speaker has spoken about that capacity building for the users, but I think most important is that capacity building in the government sector, and especially the implementers and the administrators. That is one of the most important part, and now the state government has already started through the various projects, and I think this is one of the most important requirement in providing services in the urban and rural areas. Another thing which has been spoken by the in the earlier session is the support to the district e-governance societies. I think district e-governance society have very less manpower available for maintaining any services and maintaining any e-governance projects, and only support right now available is through the NIC, which is normally have only one district information officer. So the method which has been discussed here, that that service provider must be associated with the e-governance societies, and revenue model should be developed in such a way that it generates some revenue and it maintains its own systems. That is again required at district level, so that the whatever services is designed and it is maintained and it is provided properly and smoothly. These are some points which I was this was in my mind to share with all the August gathering, and thank you. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Mrs. Rao. We have three more speakers, and these are Mr. V.K. Sharma, Iftikhar Kakru Saab, and Sheikh Imtiaz Ahmed. I would request all of you to sort of address the participants maybe in about 5 to 7 minutes, so that we have at least some time left for interaction. I think the interactions are much more sort of participative than a monologue. And though the initial remarks are very important, I would still like to have at least 10 minutes for interaction. So with that, I would request Mr. V.K. Sharma, CEO, Gujarat Info Petro Limited, to
this is it. GIP implementation is shortcut. Okay, this one. This is?
yeah.
Good evening, friends. The distinguished personality sitting on the dais and of the dais. Friends, I am from Guj Info Petro. It is a 100% state PSU of Gujarat government. We are already associated with J&K government. We are laying a pipeline from Jammu Bhatinda. And yesterday my chairman was also here. They have had the discussion with the Honorable Minister Ramjan Sahab and the Chief Secretary. So it's a 850 crore rupees worth of project which we are doing. So I will talk about some innovative projects which we have done for Gujarat and which has placed Gujarat ahead of the many other states. GIPL is a category ISP license holder. It has 12 plus years experience. It's a ISO 9001 certified company, and we have the 250 people's multi-skilled personnel. And it's a government of Gujarat has issued a GO for us that any work given to us, no tendering is required for that. They can give us on nomination basis. I'll divide this category in three parts. One is the software category, other is the ISP category, and the third one is the consultancy services. I'll not go to, because of paucity of time, I'll just run through. We have the state of art data center, to ISO 27001 certified, multiple bandwidth sources. We are getting the bandwidth from many sources to give the redundancy. We are providing about 2 STM bandwidth distribution, and it's a total MPLS backbone enabled backbone. And we have about 2,800 kilometer fiber backbone across the Gujarat through our petroleum company. It is a 24/7 support. We are providing the facility. It's not only we are giving that solution, we are giving the manpower also to operate it, because most of the projects have failed because the trained manpower are not available there. So we are doing the entire commercial tax we are running. The GUVNL is the electricity board, we are running it. The Gujarat Forest Department, GSRTC, RTO, GSDMA, the Education Board, the universities, our GSPC company, and the Ecology Commission, Saurashtra University, and many more. We are providing all manpower to them. We have given this webcasting and VC solutions. Vibrant Gujarat, we had the 3 Vibrant Gujarat consecutively, which was live telecasted. Recently, we did this all election polling booth live video, this webcasting, where the Central Election Commission and the State Election Commission has been given online things, and many cases the repolling has been done because of that. The CM Sadbhavana events, we did it. The event has been created with the Infosys chairman, so we did this webcasting. Honorable CM with Narayan Murthy, they were there. The foundation laying ceremony of Mahatma Mandir, then the convocation ceremonies of many, and the CM addressing to the Pravasi Bharatiya recently happened in Cochin. And SPIPA is a institute where they all training for the IAS is given. It's also again connected with the video conferencing. Recently we have signed 3 MOUs with the BSNL. We are going to provide the IPTV services in the Gujarat, then it will extend it to all over India. Then we have a MOU with the Caisson Engineering Hungary, which will give the leak detection and the monitoring system for the gas pipeline and water pipeline, etc. Then e-procurement system, we are having this e-tendering system. In Gujarat Forest Department, we have given this web-based software application. It's an integrated MIS system, and we have given the PDA to each beat guard, and we are monitoring each beat guard. And the unique features of that system, if he happens to see any offense, he need not to do anything, he just click the button, and the photo will come to the central server along with the let long and the time, date, etc. And the team will be given sent to them immediately to catch the thief. Likewise, if some animal or some lion has been fallen into the well, immediately he will send the photo and the rescue team will be there. This is the snapshot of that. We have won 2 awards for this. This is the Sibulal of the Infosys chairman, he gave this GCA award, and at the last year we won this award for this the 5th NTA award given by the International Telecom Union, Hamadum Durai. We did the software for the education board. It is containing the teachers registration, student services online, the mark sheet, etc. You can get it. The result we are hosting. Within 2 hours, we are managing 1.5 crore hits. Universities, again, we are giving the solution is from convocation to a concept to convocation. It's a total web-based application. And the first time it is happened with the Saurashtra University, it is a choice-based credit system. And online admission, placement, student progress report, online exam, alumni, and all those things you can see online. These are the universities which we are serving. The Pandit Deendayal Petroleum University, Mukesh Ambani is the chairman for that. Saurashtra University, Raksha Setu University, Gujarat Technical University, IIT, GIC, Children University, then the University Granth Board, and Sardar Patel University. And IIMA also. Another good solution we gave for the Gujarat Tourism Department, it's a GIS-based tourism information system. The moment you will land to the Gujarat, you will get a SMS that welcome to Gujarat, and some link will be given to you. So you can click that link and you can find all inquiries, whether preliminary is there, which way to go, which hotels are there. So you can find all inquiries from that. The similar mobile application, it's Android, Windows, and iOS basis. We are giving the call center support also, and online reservation. Recently we had a Ranotsav, it is in the Kutch. Because of this online reservation, our income increased 300 times, and there was no leakage. And the best system, they awarded it. And the SMS alert, I mentioned. Now we are giving the e-darshan and e-arti also through this Gujarat Tourism Department. And recently we are going to start very soon, because Gujarat is a dry state. So if anybody wants to come to Gujarat, you can apply for the liquor license online. These are some photos. For home department, again, we are the total solution provider. We have provided the CCTV-based surveillance systems. Recently, we did it for the Sabarmati jail. Today was the last date for the tender. The police, we have connected all the police stations, then the PCR van also, and video conferencing between jail and the court. Very soon, we are going to create a cyber Suraksha Kavach, because we were hearing from the last 2 days that there is no mechanism of seeing or taking care of those hackers, how to catch them. So this cyber Suraksha Kavach will keep watch on all those mails, phones, and everything. And the security system also we are providing. And Gujarat is the first state. Very soon we have launched a system after this Nirbhaya case of Delhi. If any ladies or any female, they will be allotted a one panic number. The moment she pushes that panic button, immediately it will go to the 100 number, the center, and the last call basis system, the provider will also give the location, and the PCR van and the police van will reach to that destination. We are providing this mobile tracer and the fully body scanner, cell jammer, etc. to this. Then agriculture department, again we gave this good solution. First time it happened in India. It's an online subsidy management system, MIS Seed Corporation. Then tour diary, here this inspector, agriculture inspector, the people will go to the field, they will give the lecture, and it will be captured on their tablet. Then GIS-based crop cutting system, because there was huge complaint in the crop cutting with the fake claims, etc. Now this will not possible. The moment the farmer put that seed, the photo will be taken. Then when the crop is there, then again the photo will be taken. And if there is an insurance claim, that will be certified by that server. Then another, we have in Gujarat pond scheme, pond monitoring. If any farmer have a pond in his farm, he will be given 1 lakh rupees subsidy. So earlier it used to be table survey only, but now the inspector has to go to that farm. He has to make a pentagon and click a photo, and that lat long time and everything will come, and the central server will be updated, and the subsidy will be given to the farmer to his account. Similarly, the seed agency also we gave the similar kind of solution. Material distribution again, then financial accounting system, GuzFace we gave them, and facility management. And beside that, there are about 2 crore farmers are there in Gujarat, and everyone is having the mobile with them. So we want to give them a alert, SMS alert, that what kind of seed they should have, what kind of pesticide or the other things they should use. And after the crop, we will tell them where to sell this, and this will be connected with the MCDX exchange. And if they want to sell it, they can sell it, and the amount will be given to the bank if they are getting finance from that bank. These are the snapshot about those things. This is the pond management. This also again recently, this 7th May, we got this award from the 7th World Communication Award for this innovative telecom services, where the two union ministers were there, Kapil Sibal and Honorable Sri M.F. Farooqi were there, the union secretary for telecom. Likewise, for livelihood promotion also, we gave this MIS system, this self-help group certification issue, synchronization of data, mobile-based application. And RTO, again, we were the first state to create the state registry and implement the Vahan and Sarthi software. We have already digitized about 90 lakhs entries. And now very soon we are going to have the e-challan system, where immediately the traffic inspector will get the full access to the server of this Vahan Sarthi, and he will get the full details of the driving license and RC book. So you can catch hold the thief if it is a stolen vehicle. We are maintaining this check post. And another thing, we gave this automatic driving license. Now, like passport, you can apply for the driving license. You will be given a time slot. You reach to that place and your test will be taken. Like commercial department, we implemented this VETIS application. It's 100% uptime, and we are maintaining the complete website and the load, this servers, etc. It's a fully secured with IPS, IDS. Scalability is also there, and this is the only state which are getting more than 25,000 returned online on a single day. For GSPL, we have provided the online pipe management system from the day one. When you want to lay down any pipeline, all those engineering data will be led to there, and any leakage detection and everything will be there, and all land record, ROU, ROW system will be there. BRTS is again success story for Gujarat, and we were the first company to operate this BRTS in Ahmedabad. We won many awards for that. And second, we have started for Rajkot also, though the tender is not there, but the BRTS is already operative. Then we gave this ERP solution to many big companies, the SAP based, Oracle based, or Open ERP system. Is the GMDC, GVNL, GSPC Gas, GSPC, GIPCL, there are many companies like that. And there are many list of the companies which we are there. Then other e-governance project, the Gujarat is having the Swagat Online, eDhara, eGram, Health Management, ECT, IWDMS, Janni Suraksha Yojana, Online Birth and Death Certificate, the Online Mother and Child Tracking System, IFMS system. I will skip those things because paucity of time. And Gujarat is the first state which has taken, if you want to have the test for the whether you are having the male child or the female child, so we have connected all sonography machine to our central system. If any doctor start that machine, immediately the system will get the alert that this doctor has started this machine, and the result will be shown by that central server. So no one can go for that test unless until it is prescribed by the doctor. Recently, we have won these 3 awards, this XNL, MAGIC, and iMine award. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. That was quite an interesting brief on what you are doing. And now may I invite Mr. Iftikhar Kakru, who is the Deputy General Manager from JKS PDC. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I think the most significant contribution that IT has made to urban planning, at least, is the development of the AutoCAD software. And you know, IT can do wonders with regard to urban management, rural management. The prime example of urban mismanagement is the lake on the banks of which we are holding this conference. You know, Walter D. Lawrence, in his very celebrated book, The Official Gazetteer of J&K, says that, you know, the legend is that the softness of Pashmina shawl, the Pashmina shawl owes its softness to being washed in the waters of Dal Lake. But see, you see the plight of Dal Lake now. it's all because we have not been wise, we have not been, we have not resorted to the best practices for urban management. Those of us who have the opportunity to have gone to the old downtowns of Srinagar city will realize that, the kind of environment that those people live and the need for urban management. See, I'm a civil engineer by profession, and my perception of urban management is limited to the extent of providing services for the people like drinking water, electric supply, water and sanitation, sewage and solid waste management, environment management. My initial brush with urban management was when I was posted in the public health engineering department. A guy came to me saying that he did not have drinking water for his newly constructed house. I was really amazed. I was a little amazed. How can it be possible that a person who has made a new house, invested his lifetime saving, cannot have drinking water supply for his newly constructed house? And then I started, learning the process. Suresh Kumar ji, the principal secretary, home, made a presentation in the morning about the process for obtaining permission for building construction. As far as technology and IT intervention is concerned, they have, evolved a system which expedites the clearance at least. But the basic issues remain. They can send, they normally send to the line departments, the public health engineering departments, the electric supply department, the power development department, and other departments. There is a requirement of NOC. But all they do is, they say, we have no objection to this guy making a house at this particular place, but we do not make any assurance for supply of drinking water or for supply of electric supply. It's a very, very weird kind of argument, because it is a responsibility of the state to be providing these basic facilities. All the questions remain. Suppose, I make a house somewhere. What about my drinking water supply? What about my bijli? What about other things? So there has to be a holistic approach, as Mr. Sahu was saying, there has to be a holistic approach to urban management. You develop these zones, these building zones, wherein you pre-plan the water supply schemes, the road connectivity, other things that are required for improving the quality of life. A small example of IT intervention in urban management is, I had a chance to go to Dubai some time back, and they have a system, a very simple system, wherein they are traveling in a car, and suppose there's a traffic violation. The cameras there pick up the traffic violation, and it automatically penalizes the driver maybe 10 dirhams or 20 dirhams for the traffic violation, and it docks 4 points, where they're called black points, 4 black points from his account. And if you are docked 12 black points from account for the year, you have to ground the vehicle. You cannot drive for the remaining year. So this is basically technology, because technology picks up the offense and it translates into a kind of SMS or through a computer. The message is generated. Day in and day out in J&K, we see there is the problem of traffic jams, and the traffic guys are trying their level best to regulate the traffic, but often with no results, because we are not using technology. One of the solutions, one of the innovations for technology in traffic management would be the synchronization of traffic lights. You have on a given stretch of road, you have 10 traffic lights, and depending on the load of traffic on that particular point, at one particular point, the timings, the green, red, yellow timings can be regulated as per the traffic congestion. And there is also the question, the requirement of credible database, as Mr. Sahu was saying. Normally, when we plan the roads, the practice is to send these either fresh graduates or the students from the engineering colleges. They will go to a traffic location. They'll go to a road location and count the number of vehicles that pass through that intersection. They will count the number of scooters, the cars, the buses, whatever. And then, depending on some kind of linear increase, maybe 5%, 6%, 10%, they will evaluate or try to forecast the number of vehicles that will be plying on that particular stretch of road for maybe 10 years, 15 years. But it doesn't work that way. We have an experience in J&K, particularly in Kashmir, during the last 20 years. There has been, mass migration of people from the rural areas to the urban areas. for want of better education, for want of better healthcare, or purely from the sense of security. But you know, these islands have come up on the peripheries of Srinagar city, and you know, they also have become virtually slums, without any water supply, without any road connectivity, and whatever road connectivity they have, they are, you know, small, you know, alleys, without, you know, only one vehicle can pass through that roads. And again, technology, when we use for urban management, you can do a forecasting based on some kind of trends. You know, what is going to be the trend of migration to a particular area depending on the land use pattern of that particular area, and you know, what is the incidence, what is the probability that a given set of people, a given number of people will move to that particular area. And then they can forecast, and this is the, you know, requirement of water supply in that area, this is the requirement of electric supply in that area, and plan accordingly. And you know, and the implementation should be subservient to this database and this, you know, this technology-driven, you know, urban plans. I think that's all, sir. Thank you.
Honorable Chair on the dais, members, and I think the boring audience which I got it, so I will not take much time, but I will be starting with two things before I start my presentation. Comtech as a local entrepreneur has done two urban initiatives. One was with the assistance of NIC, we were able to digitize birth and death records of Srinagar Municipal Corporation in a record time of 45 days, wherein around 10 lakh records were digitized, and still we are doing online and offline process for Srinagar Municipal Corporation. The second most initiative was first time J&K when municipal elections were held, so municipal electoral rolls were digitized for the entire state, and we were the main key players. About my company Comtech, it's a private limited company having offices in all 22 districts of Jammu and Kashmir and presence in all the three regions, because we have three regions, Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. Comtech was the first UID impanel agency in the state, and it's the impanel agency with state IT department. The company being local but have expanded to Bihar, UP and Haryana. Our clients and projects that we have successfully completed mostly belong to J&K. Election department, again, two projects. One was digitization printing of electoral rolls. When first time records were being digitized, we were the one who did it. Panchayat and municipal electoral rolls. For the first time, elector's photo identity card was introduced in J&K state, and we have printed around 9 lakh identity cards. Srinagar Municipal Corporation, we already briefed. Digitization of birth and death and continuous updation of records. Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, two pilot districts were taken, Jammu and Srinagar, and we issued around 50,000 smart cards to BPL families, which can get health cover up to 30,000 rupees. Anybody who use that card can get health cover up to 30,000. Aadhaar project in J&K was launched. In collaboration with J&K Bank, we did a pilot in Srinagar, and 10,000 Aadhaar cards were pushed, and Honorable Chief Minister was the first enrollee in our status. Socio-economic cost census, one of the largest IT projects in J&K state, wherein around 1 crore records were taken through a survey using PC tablet. Around 4,000 operators were deployed in all villages of the state, and this data was completed in the 90 days timers. That too in a cool winter. The project started somewhere late in December and it ended up somewhere in Feb and hers. We are also main power supplier to some of the best companies in the country. Karvi Data Management System, a Hyderabad-based company. Rosma Technologies, a Delhi-based company, wherein we did digitization of national population register. Around again 81 lakhs were digitized in a period of 180 days. We did also in collaboration with Jackie Jazz, ration cards, again 3 districts in Kashmir, 3 in Jammu and 1 in Ladakh division. Currently we are doing Aadhaar in Jammu and Kashmir, wherein we have been allotted by RJ 15 districts, 7 in Jammu and 10 in Jammu and 5 in Kashmir. As on date, around 2 districts have been rolled out in Jammu, Samba and Doda, and in Kashmir, Kulgam and Shopian, wherein as on date we have did around 1 lakh Aadhaars have been generated. These are some of the gadgets that we will be using in Aadhaar. This is fingerprint scanner. This is optical carry bag that used to be carry these items. Then iris. This is the way we receive an UID application. Then fingerprint and capture of irises. This is at the end of the day, at the end of enrollment, she gets an acknowledgement certificate. This is the governance structure that we have with us. We have a project management team at Srinagar and Jammu, then district units across the districts, and then zonal heads, Jammu, Srinagar, Ladakh. This is the approach and methodology that we adopt while executing the projects. That's project activities, This is the main power count we have as on date. We have almost 22 district coordinators across around 88 tehsil coordinators and 250 block coordinators for carrying various IT activities. This is something very important. We being a small company, we are able to create this much of jobs. So in e-rolls, we are able to create 20 jobs, birth around 12, RSBI 32, Aadhaar around 1,000. Socio-economic costs, we are able to create 4,000 jobs. Then small main power institutes, CDEC, others, and some local companies, 30 years. Main power to local companies, Karvi and Rosemada, around 500, and digitization of ration cards, 500. So 5794, but these were all temporary jobs, could have been sustained if the projects could have been there. So this is just last 1 year bracket where we were able to create 5794 jobs. These are some of the shots. We, being the largest IT company, got an award from His Excellency the Governor, Chief Minister at one of our BME camps, Honorable Union Minister when we inaugurated the DODA. The first enrollee in DODA was this Minister Vani sir. Thank you, sir.
Before we move towards closer, if there are any questions that participants would like to ask any of the speakers, you are welcome to do so. And if there are no questions, then we will continue. In the event there are no questions, then I would move on to the science giving ceremony. And so it is my duty to now thank all the speakers for what they have said and all the organizers for all their hospitality.
Thank you, all of you. Well, it has been a very thought-provoking day. A lot of interesting sessions, a lot of interaction, and a lot of exchange of knowledge and ideas and opinion. The basic reason why we all came together on this forum. Now, as we come at the end of this last session of the day, I would like to thank all our speakers, especially the session chair, for taking out time and being part of this session. Also thanking all the audience, everybody present as audience here for being very patient listeners, participating in the event and listening to all the sessions and everybody, all presentations so patiently. I request as a moment, as a token of our appreciation to our speakers, I request our session chair, Shri Arun Mehta ji, Principal Secretary of Department of Power, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, to kindly present a memento to Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Principal Secretary of IT Department, Government of Manipur. Thank you, sir. I also request Shri Arun Mehta ji to, before we move on to the second, if we can please have a quick photo with Dr. Rajesh Kumar ji. Yes, for our magazine and for the sake of our memories that we take along from Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you, sir. I request Shri Arun Mehta ji to now present the memento to Dr. Govind, CEO of NIXI and Senior Director of DT, Ministry of Communications and IT, Government of India. Thank you, Dr. Govind. To Shri Ajit Sahu, Deputy Commissioner, Jammu. To Shri V.K. Sharma, Chief Executive Officer of Gujarat Info Petro Limited. A very interesting presentation indeed, for all the work that the organization is doing. To Shri Iftikhar Kakru, Deputy General Manager of Jammu and Kashmir State Power Development Corporation Limited. Thank you, sir. And to Shri Sheikh Imtiaz Ahmed, Managing Director of Comtech Info Solutions Private Limited. Thank you so much, sir. And I now request Dr. Rajesh Kumar to please present a memento to our respected session chair, Shri Arun Mehta ji, for taking the discussion in the right direction and giving his valuable thoughts and inputs to the entire session and the discussion. A quick photo shoot of all the speakers on the dais. If we can have a group photo of all the speakers. It's been a good day and an interesting day for all of us. I now would like to announce that we are taking a break for a few hours, and we shall all be coming together for networking dinner that shall start at 8 p.m. in the same ground where we have been interacting for the last 2 days. So wishing to see all of you and your presence at the networking dinner that shall start at 8 p.m.